So over 4 years ago, I built this server here, a network attached storage server from scratch, and I used Sigma NAS as an operating system, or Sigma NAS, however you say it. And ever since that, well, I've been using it nonstop. Now I make an update video because it has a problem right now that it never had. So far, the past 4.5 or whatever years, it has been utterly flawless. It's used literally every day. It's quite an important computer. It backs up a lot of stuff, and therefore I need to get it running as quick as possible again. Now, we did have a power outage yesterday, and unfortunately, I mean, had power outages happen 2, 3, 4 times in its lifetime. It never really happens around here, but it happened yesterday, and it wouldn't boot up anymore. And I have it configured this way that the operating system is a so-called embedded operating system. It's on the USB. So usually I would just press the power button, have it set to boot from USB automatically, and that's what it did. It booted up back again into the operating system, was ready again. Now this time it didn't do it, and that was a little odd because it was the first time that it didn't do it. And so I checked the USB and it would not get recognized by my computer. So I got a feeling that USB has problems, or it's like on its way out. Now what's odd is it would boot kind of halfway. It would try to boot, and then it said something like kernel can't be found or something important that makes it boot. So I don't know, it worked halfway, I guess. I do have, thankfully, a backup of my configuration of this. I always do that every month, so I can revert the settings. However, now I need to completely redo the configuration here from scratch. So I have here a new USB. Well, it's not a new one, it's actually another old one. I have the embedded OS on it, and I have it booted up here. And I need to, get it recognized by the network again, so I can hopefully access it, restore the backup file, and that should be it. Now I say should because I've never done this before, so we'll do this together. Now it actually says a lot that it worked fine for 4.5 years without any issues. So yeah, so I guess you could say you should not put the operating system on a USB. Maybe put it on a proper hard drive or something else inside the computer. I just have no other space anymore for another drive in this, so that was the reason, really. So now only mission is to get it running again, hopefully without any issues. So we're gonna log in. Well, I haven't done this in a long time. So I have here the configuration menu again, the console menu. We're gonna do this one, the configure network interfaces and IP address. Well, maybe we don't even need to do the interface, it probably works. Just gonna try the second one, and then I'm gonna check my Fritzbox, my modem here, and see what IP it gives it, because I have it set to a static IP, so it has always the same IP, obviously. Because yeah, it should actually recognize it automatically, but who knows, when you read about technology and something is automatically happening, you never really believe it. So yeah, because most of the time it doesn't work, but we're just gonna try it, right? Gonna try configure network IP address and do DHCP. Just get an IP going. I mean, that's the most important thing, right? So I can access the darn thing. Initializing interface. All right, maybe I should have done that as well, but maybe it's smart enough. Now on top of that, I updated this firmware once, and yeah, so it worked fine. So this is actually the second update only in 4.5 years. About damn time. So here it is, 192, 168, 178, 50. Let me try to access this and see if I can then restore it and be happy. Yay, it's online again. How sweet. So it has the standard account and password on it still, of course. There it is. And we're back. So it has here all the specifications. By the way, for some actually wrote me, am I happy with the Celeron? Absolutely. I can only recommend it. Is back in the day when I built this was like the current Celeron. I don't even know what generation. The most important thing is that it doesn't need a lot of power, and it surely doesn't need a lot of power because this thing is on all the time. I don't need super fast speed or anything. It's only like a dual core 2-thread CPU, super basic and slow, but it does the job fine. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM that helps it out, and so not really. I don't need any upgrades on this whatsoever. This is fast enough because it's kind of bottlenecked by the HDDs anyway. So here are two config files. I used to have a whole list of, but I deleted like the really old ones. So this is the recent one from, well, 30th of August. And so I'm gonna try to restore that. Again, I never did that before. So, I mean, it says your Konfiguration wiederherstellen. That means restore configuration. Let's do the recent one here. Hope that it works. It was restored successfully. The server is rebooting. All right, let's see what the server is doing. It is indeed rebooting. Very good. Let's hope it automatically boots from USB, because I have it set to boot from USB. Asus in search of incredible. It was like one of the cheaper motherboards back then. Still working really good. Yep, that's looking very good. Very, very good. I was scared a little bit because it said can't find this and that, but it continues to boot now. What it would do before is it would reboot immediately now. But thankfully now we got this different font going, so I know it's booting. It's also seeing here all like the hardware stuff from the. Ah, there it is. It's a KB Lake. Haha. How funny is that I see it out of this? But like here is all the hardware stuff. SATA, as you see, the drives are here. So that's all very good. That's recognizing all the drives. Here's the USB. Sorry for this terrible angle though, but this monitor is simply there for the server, and like it's not getting used for 99% of times. So only when stuff breaks or needs attention. Yay! It's back to the original IP address as well. All right, so that went pretty good. Now in theory, we should be able to access it now. And it's back. That is a file from the NAS. Sweet. All right, that went beautifully. There it is. Have it set to English actually. So it says, backup configuration reminder. The last configuration backup is older than the interval. Yeah, so you know what? Let's actually back it up. Because I now know how important that is. Because if I didn't do the backups, oh, I would have been in deep trouble. Because all my configuration would have been lost. Oh, that would have been a nightmare, really. I mean, I sort of know still what I did, but like I'd have to configure all the drives, and oh my gosh, no. So guys, please, 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 do backups of your stuff. It's so important. You see, all this important stuff would have been, well, it's not been lost technically, but it would have been a lot harder to access if I didn't have a configuration. Let's say this way. So now I had it literally back up and running in not even 15 minutes. So if you have a Sigma NAS, the restoration stuff works beautifully. The restoring the configuration, in my case here, worked flawlessly. As you see here, it's all back to normal. Very good. So now that we know that the server is working good again, doing its job, I'm happy. The Time Machine backup from the Mac Mini should kick in anytime now. And so yeah, about an update, well, I can't really say more. It works, as you see. It's again a 6 terabyte unit, split up into 3 2 terabyte drives, and yeah, it's still working good. Actually, one guy wrote me in the comments, how is this thing holding up? That's how I got the idea to make the video, by the way. But also he pointed out like, why didn't you use SSDs, or like nowadays you could use SSDs? And he's right, actually. Nowadays, if I would build this nowadays, I might actually look into SSDs, because just, how much more reliable they are and stuff. And these hard drives are approaching 5 years of age, so non-stop use, I mean, we're in dangerous territory here. So I might keep a backup one around in case one fails, because it's cool. I can swap out if one fails, swap the new one in, and it will not lose any data. That's just the beautiful thing with the configuration, um, with the ZFS file system and all that. So I can still recommend you this. If you don't want to use a pre-made one or pre-built one, like from from Synology or however they are called, I don't know. I never really looked into any of those, because I wanted to build it myself, because where's the fun in that when you just buy it? I mean, you could buy those, but if you don't want to, I can still recommend you this free alternative here, Sigma NAS. Again, if you have like an old computer, pop in some hard drives, try it out yourself. This is how I did it with this old Dell back in the day. And then I decided to build a full-blown NAS, and 4.5 years later, it still works beautiful. So what can I say? Recommend it still. And I also still like this case. It's not as big as like a proper big whatever server case or like tower. And also it has enough cooling. That's, I think, what keeps them healthy as well. Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, back there as well, fans. This is the power supply, by the way. And I swapped out those loud fans, the stock ones, for those more quiet ones. I can't remember the brand, but they all still turn, they all still work. This computer never gets too hot, so maybe I should go clean this out again. But this is still also, I can still recommend you this method. The only change I would make is maybe get a different boot media. I could again think of like an M-SATA SSD, or just an SSD, and just cram it in there somewhere, and be done. But I was lacking the SATA port. I didn't have another SATA port, and also back in the day, I had no money for an SSD, so that was really the reason. And this USB method, I mean, it works all right. All you do is you download another embedded image from the internet, put it on there, restore it as you see, and it works probably now for another 4 years. So you can do whatever you want, but if you want like a maximum security stuff, you should get a proper like internal drive, some sort of where this is all stored. But so far so good. It works brilliant. Recommend it.